When Matthew's church heard the language of wedding robe, they would have instinctively thought about the baptismal robe. You see, back in those early days of the church, when people were baptized, they would walk naked into a river so as to say that there is no distinction among people, whether rich or poor, whether circumcised or uncircumcised. But when they came up from the water, they were given a robe, the same robe as everyone else, that signified their new life and new status in Christ. This parable must have been a terrifying warning to those who heard it in Matthew's church. A warning that they not celebrate their inclusion and then turn around and refuse to join the joy of God's inclusion of everyone else. A warning that they not take off their baptismal robe that signified living in the Spirit of Christ and revert to their old ways of judging and separating from others. The church in America today needs to hear this parable afresh. John Pavlovich is a prophet calling on Christians to live up to our baptisms. He recently said this: "I'm tired of professed Christians preaching a Jesus that they seem to have no interest at all in emulating, of religious people being a loud, loveless noise in the world while claiming to speak for a God who is supposedly love. I'm starting a new church, the church of not being horrible. Our mission statement is simply this: don't be horrible to people. Don't treat them as less worthy of love, respect, dignity, joy, and opportunity than you are. Don't create caricatures out of them based on their skin color, their religion, their sexual orientation, the amount of money they have, the circumstances they find themselves in. Don't seek to take away from them things you already enjoy in abundance: civil rights, clean water, education, marriage, access to health care. Don't tell someone's story for them about why they are poor, depressed, addicted, victimized, alone." Well, that's a start, I suppose. But I want to say I don't think it's enough for us not to be horrible. Right? We are baptized into Christ. And as such, we are called to be active, positive, passionate about loving and welcoming and celebrating the good news of God that includes not just us, but all whom God has called. And there's that little word again, all. Wilshire, we have done what we can to declare in every way possible God's love and welcome for all, and we have celebrated our own inclusion. We have shown up for membership with all of its privileges, but have we suited up for service? The challenge of the ending to this parable is before us always. Being a Christian is more than just celebrating our identity as children of God in Christ. It's also about acting like it. Whether, in other words, we take up the mission of God once we have accepted our acceptance,